Let's start this presentation with the reason why. Now you have notes in your handouts that are the slides that we're going to present right here. Can everybody see the slides okay? I mean the screen, okay? All right. So you have those if you want to take notes or if you don't catch everything that I'm saying, a lot of that stuff is there. Okay, so we're going to start with the reason why we serve children who are struggling. And it would be way easier, not better, not good, but way easier if we just didn't invite those kids. And the world might do that, but we are not the world, right? So we're going to talk about the reason why we care about all of the children, even when things get tough, okay? We're going to talk about what every child needs. We're going to talk about what we all need to belong. This is church. This is God's family. God's word is clear, and we're going to talk about Jesus as our example. And so, what is the reason we do this? What is the why?
Right, and this is definitely kingdom work. God's kingdom. God brings the children. God brings the families and the children, and it is our greatest calling to bring Jesus to all of them. And we are ambassadors for Christ. We represent Jesus. We are his ambassador. So let's begin our time together with prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us all together. Thank you for the hearts of everyone here. I pray, Lord, that you would show us of your glory, how we can glorify you in all that we think and do and say. Thank you for Jesus who lived for us, who died for us, who was raised again for us to believe in you. And I pray that we can lead the children to believe in Jesus. I pray, Lord, that you bless our time together. It's in your precious name we pray. Amen.
Okay, I'm going to warn you right now, in a little bit, we're going to do a skit. And we're going to ask for some volunteers. So be putting on your courageous hat now and be willing to volunteer because I think you'll really get a lot out of this skit.
Yeah, so what does every child in your church need, whether they have obvious or hidden disabilities?
Okay. So every child needs to know Jesus personally. That's why we do what we do, right? Every child needs to be known by name. Every child needs to be prayed for weekly. And every child needs to be discipled. Now, we had a question about discipline. I knew you were going to say something. I knew it. There was something back there that said she's going to say something about discipline. So I just want to say, discipline is part of discipleship, but the emphasis is on discipleship, and that is we're teaching. We're always teaching. And we're teaching with a heart that that child is actually going to embrace. Not all children are going to understand the kind of discipline that we want to bring. So we have to be open for how do we teach this child? How do we disciple this child for what they need?
Reason number 2. Why do we serve and include every child? Because we all need to belong in a community of God's people.
Yeah, on our website we do have a series of blogs, and Julie's going to be sharing something from a blog that's called Create a Sense of Belonging.
Now, my thought is that y'all know how to do most of these things. You've already done them. You've been doing them for years. But we all need to be reminded of some of the basics, don't we? So I don't want you to feel like we are insulting your intelligence or insulting your heart, because we know where your heart is coming from, or you would not be in this room. So thank you for coming. So we want to create a sense of belonging. So I'm going to ask you a question. Does the word belong conjure up positive, warm, fuzzy feelings for you? Or does it make your heart sink? My guess maybe a little of both from different experiences that you've had. Most people have felt like an outsider at some time in their lives. It doesn't feel good, does it? You have an opportunity to help others have a positive experience in belonging.
Yeah, human beings were made to be in community. So often, though, when people go through a challenging time, there's a tendency to isolate. There are many reasons why a person might want to shy away from associating with others, and it is possible that they were hurt and have their heart in protective mode so it doesn't happen again. And we can make a difference for them.
Here are four things we could do to help someone feel a sense of belonging. Invitation. Extend an invitation to someone to join you. Make it personal. Reaching out to someone personally and directly makes the invitation genuine and makes the person feel cherished.
Welcome. When you welcome kids and adults, it creates an atmosphere of sincerity and warmth. Greet each individual with a warm smile and show that you are glad they've come. Because you are, right?
You are glad, yes, you are.
Introduce them to others in the room and expand their opportunities to interact.
Right, and acceptance. Focus on similarities. Point out things that many folks in the room have in common. Often it's commonality that joins people together, shared experiences. For the kids, it could be that they're wearing the same color clothing. It could be that they like the same kinds of food or sports team or hobby or activity. So you can be creative there.
On the other side of that coin, we must have an appreciation for the uniqueness of differences. Hello? This makes a place for everyone. It is important that you take a minute to assess an extra accommodation that may be helpful to someone. For example, would a wheelchair be helpful? Does this person need to sit on the end of a row or need a little extra space at the table? So we're not talking just the children, we're also talking anybody who walks in the door. If food is involved and it's served buffet style, ask the person if you could help them prepare a plate. Usually we're all kind of caught up in our own world and we don't look around. Sometimes I do that when it's all over, and then I think, I bet that person could have used some help. This is just to give a mindset of looking around us all the time and seeing if there might be somebody who could use a little extra help. We're going to discuss extensively things that you can do to help children get the most out of the experience you want to bring them in a little bit.
Really valued and appreciated. Give people an opportunity to share about themselves, but never be pushy. Be interested in what is going on in their lives. Listen to them, learn to listen well. Make the conversation with them all about them. If you know about them that you appreciate, tell them.
And people need to be valued simply for being them. There's a difference between creating an atmosphere where folks are striving to fit in, trying to conform to what they think is expected, and versus when a person is made to feel that they truly belong just by simply being themselves. Show an appreciation for their uniqueness, their giftedness, and maybe even give a way for them to contribute. You can be thinking of your children that you're working with.
Like I said, you all have thought about these things many times. We just wanted to bring them up. This is a slow go. We're talking about the why, and we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of every day in a few minutes. So summarizing all of that, extending a personal invitation, greeting with a warm welcome, having a heart of acceptance by focusing on commonalities while also appreciating differences, and valuing and validating people will go miles in creating a space where people will feel at home, leaving them with a desire for more, which will then lead to giving that treasured sense of belonging.
Reason number 3, God's word is clear. We're to serve God in humility. Luke chapter 14, verse 14, when you give a feast, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind, and you will be blessed because they cannot repay you for you will be repaid at the resurrection of the just. That's in verse 14. Just a couple verses later, something very similar comes up, the great banquet. A man once gave a great banquet and invited many. And at the time for the banquet, he sent his servant to say to those who had been invited, "Come, for everything is now ready." But they all began to make excuses. And then the servant came and reported those excuses to the master. And the master of the house became angry and said to his servant, "Go out quickly to the streets and the streets and the lanes of the city, and bring" who? The poor, the crippled, the blind, the lame. We're also challenged by the Great Commission, go and make disciples of all nations, all people. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I've commanded you. And behold, I am with you always to the end of the age. And there are many, many more instances of Jesus reaching out to the disabled.
Reason number 4, because Jesus is our example. John 9, verse 1 through 7 is about the man who was born blind, so that the works of God may be displayed in him. Matthew 15, 30 through 31 is about the lame, blind, crippled, and mute who were brought to Jesus, and he healed them, and the crowd glorified God. Mark 2, 3 through 5 is about a paralyzed man who was brought to Jesus through a roof. Jesus saw their faith and healed him. Bring your child with disabilities to Jesus.
Now that we've done some groundwork as far as the good foundation of a why we do things, let's brainstorm some more about the how. But first,
Right. As Julie was saying right at the beginning, we're here to serve you. We're here to be available to you. We have a website. It's championsforparents.com, where there are blogs that we've written, podcasts that we've spoken, and other support that's there. Our newsletter, sign up on the clipboards. Do we have those? Right. We stay in touch monthly by newsletter, and we just sent one out. Give us your email address, and we can keep in touch with you and send that out to you. The newest blog or podcast is on that. Activities and events in which you can participate. And Amy, every month, has a video. She loves to make videos, and she has a video. The Champions for Parents community is on Facebook, and you can sign up on the clipboard, and you can write the word community, and we can put you in that too.
So I wrote a book in 2020 when everything was crazy. I wrote a book in my parents' house, and so you can check out How to Recharge devotionals. And here for sale, if you like to get them, about like if you're feeling down and you need a heart recharge, like when you charge your phone or something, you know, charge in your heart, and you can check it out. And I have one of my favorite Bible verses, Lamentations 3, about how that's the Lord's message is new every morning. And I have a YouTube channel if you want to check it out at AMC Videos.
also, Amy is a public speaker. So some of you have flyers purple, her favorite colors. So if you know of a group that is looking for an inspirational speaker, Amy would love to come and speak to your group. Okay, so in part of your packet today is a feedback form. If you can just kind of listen for what is valuable to you and what you are finding that's missing, I'll stand over here. Okay. Then please fill out that feedback form. Give us some ideas. If you've got ideas while you're sitting there listening and talking to us and thinking about what you are dealing with, feel free to write in some ideas there. We are very eager to help. And it's all about helping and loving these children who need us to go the extra mile, okay? So I wanted to tell you also that every Thursday, not every Thursday, once a month on a Thursday at 1 o'clock, we do a Zoom call called the Virtual Coffee Shop Chat. It is for people with disabilities, parents who have children that have disabilities, or people who are working in ministry with children or adults who have any kind of challenges. So that is on Thursdays, once a month. It's the third Thursday, I think it is. So we also have private virtual coaching for parents at no charge. We have private or group virtual coaching for ministry folks. This is not, there's no charge involved. This is all donation driven. So those who can donate, donate. Those who cannot donate, doesn't matter. God knows it all, right? So we wanted to let you know too, we have this booklet that we put together called Build a Power Team. Our dream is to make it into a real book and to really be able to give you some, okay, this is what we're going to think about in ministry. This is where we are. Are we a volunteer? Are we a staff person? Are we a parent? And putting all those pieces together, Build a Power Team. It's $5 today for this event. And then Tom wrote a devotional called 40 Days with God. And I will tell you, it's supposed to be for dads who are raising kids with special needs. But I edited the book for him, and I was completely blessed by everything in there. So it's not just for dads, just saying.
Okay, so let's get back to the content of what we've come to present to you. Now that we have some groundwork, a good foundation of why, let's go deeper into the how. These are the practical things that you can take away. First of all, start where you are. Don't be thinking of this huge special needs ministry that attracts everybody in the whole wide world. Start with who you are and where you are and the people that you have now. And the biggest thing, the biggest advice that I can give is be a friend. And when you recruit, you say, can you be a friend? Can you be a friend? And those that are here, can you be a friend? Those are the important things that I can think of right now.
Okay, so now I need my volunteers. Who wants to volunteer?
It's a quick skit. Great. 2, 3.
Lady in the blue shirt. Yes, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so that's 4. 1, 2.
2 more.
So I need 6, 7. We need 7 people. We have 4.
1. Need 3 more.
We have 4. We have 4. Okay, very good. Lady,
Turn you into a star.
okay. So you are the good leader. You're the leader. Unruly. Oh, you're the unruly one? Okay, they're all unruly. So you get child number 1, okay? Child number 2. Child number 3. Child number 4. Child number 5. And I just counted, I need the child number 6. Anybody want to be a child number 6? Going, gone. There we go. Child number 6. Thank you for that. Okay, so the leader takes it away.
Okay, guys, it's time for Bible memory time. Let's all have a seat here on the rug. We'll start with David, then we'll go around. Each of you will read one word from Bible verse on the rug.
Just pretend you're on the rug. You don't have to sit on the
You
rug
don't
if
have
you
to
don't want
sit.
to.
No, keep standing.
Can't we play games now?
We will play games in a little bit, but right now we'll have Bible memory.
I don't want to read.
Okay, we can just ask them. Winter. You didn't have to sit on the rug. It smells
little bit. Now we had all that fun. Okay, so what might be going on here? Let's talk about that and some ideas of understanding and engaging the children through these scenarios. Have you ever seen these scenarios before? Yeah? And a whole 100 others? Yeah. Okay. I know you wanted to get up here and take care of all Okay, so how about this one? Can we play games now? It's Bible reading time or Bible memorization time, right? Can we play games now? What does that child need? Maybe an activity? A brain break? I love your ideas. Keep them coming. A fidget. Maybe they just need to have one of these. Right? Okay. Maybe they need structure and routine. Maybe in their world, maybe their home or at school, they can't sit still and handle the craziness of life, right? Because everything is crazy around them. Maybe that's it. So one thought was, can you have a visual chart with pictures as well as words, because some kids don't read as well as other kids, right? Some kids don't read at all. And use it often to remind the children what is next. So you go over to the chart becomes the heavy, not the teacher, not the leader. The chart becomes the heavy, and you just say, oh no, we can't do that yet. We have to do this now, because see, it says so on this chart right here. Okay, how about, I don't want to read. What do you think's going on with that? They don't know how. Okay, personal story. Amy has a big brother. We have 4 children. And she's the youngest. Yes, she is. There is Katie, who is in her 30s. There is Becca, who is in her 30s. There is Joshua, who just turned 30. He's turning 31 in December already.
I'm the only one in my 20s.
Amy's the only one left in her 20s. Okay. So, but our son Josh, our only son, who's 2 years older than Amy and about 5 times as big, has dyslexia and dysgraphia. He didn't learn to read until he was in 5th grade. That's a long time. To be with your peers and not be able to do the thing that everybody else is doing. There were times when we would go, now we homeschooled him, so I could still teach him, we could still teach him auditorially, and he did fabulously with oral tests. He couldn't write anything down and he couldn't read it. So we would talk with his Sunday school teachers every year, and we would just say, please don't ask him to read or write anything. Don't ask your whole class to read or write anything, because he won't stay. It happened every single year. This is what you are not going to do, right? You are going to hear a Joshua in your class, and you're going to understand, okay, Joshua can't read, so it's not that we just skip over Joshua, but can we figure out a way that it's not known that Joshua can't read? Can we figure that out for Joshua's sake? I say it with tears, because it was many years of agony in the church. So, we always turn things into, what is that, lemon into lemonade thing? So Tom would take Joshua when he wouldn't stay in his class because they asked him to read or they asked him to write something. Tom would take him walking around the church building, and they would have dad and son time together. So it was a precious time for them. But wouldn't it have been nice? Let's just say, wouldn't it have been nice? Okay, so, and if you do have a reading thing, because of the children who do like to read out, you can ask for volunteers instead of going around the room, right? Okay, how about this? Do we have to sit on the rug? It smells. What's going on there? Spot on. Could it be also that this child is hypersensitive to smells? And maybe the rug smells a little bit, and the rest of the kids are like, I don't care. But this child, it really is this a problem microphone right here? Okay. This child, it really is a problem. So what, we can know that it's a sensitivity. Now this child may have autism, they may have sensory issues, they may have allergies. We don't know what causes it. We don't need to know what causes it. What we need to know is this child is not getting the gospel because the rug smells, right? So what can we do about that? What do you think? Get rid of the rug! Yes. Sorry for yelling. Oh, poor guy put headphones on and I just yelled in his ears. So, yeah, get rid of the rug. We don't need rugs, do we? Can we have something that doesn't smell, right? Or just some other way? All right. Pardon me? Yeah, and so here's two thoughts on that. That is very kind. We don't also want to single that child out. So, yeah, that's a good solution. And what if there's 25 kids and they have to sit on the rug? Then maybe then some children can sit in the back. Because sometimes you just have to. You know, you've got to work with what you've got, right? Okay, stop sitting so close to me. Maybe this child is averse to anything touching him or her. There are some sensory concerns, or maybe there was trauma in their background. Not all of the children that come into your classes probably, you know all the backgrounds of. Some of the children that are coming out of foster care, they've had trauma in their lives, and it may have come through touch. So keep those things in mind and just don't make assumptions. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So the child sitting close may not understand the boundaries. So they've got the opposite problem. They don't know about you need to give people personal space. So you've got that going too. So if you know you have a child who doesn't understand boundaries, or one that can't tolerate anyone brushing up against him or her, maybe you can set up little individual sitting areas. Some people have used hula hoops. Now you have to know your kids because hula hoops can also become all kinds of things that you don't want them to become, right? Or little rugs, or put tape on the floor. You know, little circles or little squares that they can, just with tape. Any way that you can make it work for your children. How about the child who starts dancing around the room? Who did that very well? Where is she? Yeah, very, very well. There she is. Okay, you're hiding back there. So, yeah. This child may need grounding. Okay, we call them astronauts. They really can't sit still. They have nothing in them that will have them sit still. They have no gravity, okay? So give this child something heavy to hold. So it could be a weighted lap pad, a weighted animal. It could be a textbook if you're in a classroom with textbooks, whatever. Amy, when we did homeschool, she needed that kind of pressure for her brain to work well. So we would get the older kids' textbooks and sit them on her lap while she was working at the computer. And it worked. She was able to sit there for as long as she needed to. You could give the child a fidget. And there's a whole bunch of fidgets up here. So when we're done, if you want to look at the fidgets and see what possibilities there are, it's great. You can give them a fidget. And I like the small ones if they're not really super young children. I like the small ones that can fit in the pocket. And you can tell the child, look, anytime you need to wiggle, just put your hand in there and squeeze, right? Or whatever it is that is in the pocket that they can manipulate, okay? And that doesn't, distract anybody. It's just them. They've got something on their bodies that can help them. Knowing you have this child, schedule in lots of opportunities for movement. I heard that word, move, right? For all of the children in the group. As much as you can possibly make it work. Don't isolate the child out with their issues, if you can do that. How about the child hanging near the door quietly but with nervous eyes? What could be happening with our child number 6? Shy? Yes. Could be sensory overload. Again, there could be possible trauma. Maybe this child just had something that very morning happen, and they're just afraid of people. We don't know. And it may not be any of those things. It might just be that the child is having a moment, like we talked about in the other room. It could be autism. It could be anxiety, and it could be sensory overload. So, help this child know what is planned. We've got our visual chart, right, with pictures and words. What to expect by showing the visual schedule and reminding him or her verbally throughout the club time or event. Okay, so you've got the auditory going on, you've got the visual going on, right? Ask the child if they would like to be your helper. Some of these children just need a job to do. And give them a job. If appropriate, ask the parents, and sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not appropriate to ask the parents, but ask the parents, if you can, what they found is helpful. You can also calm the environment. Dim the lights, talk softly, play classical music. Unless you have a deaf child in your class like Amy, and then you can't talk softly, or she won't be able to hear you. Okay, now let's talk about assumptions.
Right, I don't know about you, but sometimes I make wrong assumptions about people and about the situations around me. When a child comes into a class, you can go, you can make an assumption of what they're like. Albert Einstein said, assumptions are made, and most assumptions are wrong. And theologian Henry Winkler, the Fonz, nobody knows the Fonz, right? He wasn't a theologian, just kidding. Said, assumptions are the termites of relationships. I've been definitely guilty of assuming and making assumptions about challenging behavior as I see it in children and adults alike. My assumptions aren't often accurate, or I'm at least not considering the whole picture. And could this be you also? Maybe there's more that we need to know and understand. Maybe we need to think about these things, these behaviors differently. And maybe we need a different response. And maybe Al and Henry are on to something.
Good old Al and Henry.
Good old Al and Henry.
Albert Einstein and Henry Winkler. Okay, turn my page here. There we go. When we encounter or observe what we consider to be bad behavior, quote, unquote, bad behavior, we may be overlooking that there's actually a hidden disability in that child. Sometimes the child may have a mental disability, which you cannot see. He may have, or she may have, a learning disability, which they may never tell you that they do. And the parents might not either. They may have a neurological concern. Then they may have a physical condition that is not visible from the outside. What we see looks typical, but there actually may be a hidden disability. We have had our minds blown thinking about the world of hidden disabilities and what people are going through. Then behaviors happen, and we need to be careful that we don't misunderstand them and make wrong assumptions and misjudge their motives and reasons for the behavior.
This might be a good place for that.
Oh, the video, okay. We are going to watch a video. We're going to watch a video. Sorry, Amy. We didn't tell her that. We put it over here, but it's good.
Have fun.
Yeah. So let's get out of the way.
Okay, so what is something that was an autistic trait that used to be something that was a big deal, and we now realize it's just autism, and we wish we had known sooner?
Fabrics, certain fabrics I really hate, and tags, and I'd get really annoyed when people would go shopping for my clothes because sometimes they'd get a fabric I really didn't like, or the tag would really irritate me, but they wouldn't let me cut the tag off.
All right, so what do we do now about clothes?
Now I always go shopping with the person who's buying my clothes to make sure I like the fabric and just the way it feels on my skin. And I'm always allowed to cut the tags off my clothes and cut the elastic top off of the hem of my shirts.
What is something we've learned about autism in general the past 2 years that you wish you had known sooner?
autism is a really big spectrum, and it is different in every single case.
And why does that matter?
Because saying someone is autistic could mean very different things depending on who they are.
What do you wish you could tell your classmates about autism?
Being autistic doesn't always mean you need to be in special ed. It just means you don't work the same as other kids. And just because I'm autistic doesn't mean I should be treated differently. I just need certain accommodations.
Okay, so one of the things we learned a lot about shortly after Maddie's diagnosis was person first versus identity first language. So, Maddie, what is identity first language?
Identity first is I am autistic.
Okay, and what is person first?
I have autism.
And what do you prefer?
I prefer I am autistic
And why is that?
because it allows me to embrace my autism more, and autism isn't like my depression, and I can't just be given a pill to fix it.
It's who you are.
Mhm.
And is there a right or wrong?
No, it completely depends on what the person prefers.
And if you don't know what the person prefers, what should you do?
Just ask them.
Just ask them. It's easy, isn't it?
Mhm.
So did you catch most of that? Are there any questions about anything that you may have missed? This precious child is a teenager. She has recently been diagnosed with autism. Before that, her world was upside down. No one understood. No one gave her the benefit of the doubt, including that precious mom combing her hair. And I want to cry because I know this mom's heart. And she didn't know. She just didn't know because girls present differently than boys do with autism. And this girl has autism. So we found out because through a series of events that happened after she tried to commit suicide. It was because of her autism and no one understanding her and wearing the tags and nobody understanding that she couldn't handle that hem around the top of her shirt. It's real, and not everybody understands that. So this mom shared this video with me recently, and I just asked her, I said, how do you feel about me sharing it with, where we're going to talk on Sunday? And she said, let me ask my daughter, which was the first beautiful response. And the daughter was like, I think that'd be so awesome. So you have permission to hear and read and listen to whatever this child says. So it's a good thing. So that's pretty impactful, isn't it? Yeah. It really opened my eyes to some things as well. Okay, where am I, Tom? Hidden disabilities. There we are, right? Oh, it's Amy. That's why.
So, let's unpack some of the behaviors we see in ministry. Before, sorry.
You have to have it in front of
Before
you.
we do, I'm sorry.
You got it?
Before we do that, let's go back to the basis of ministry. What is our greatest goal? To love God, love people, share the gospel, and make disciples.
Yes, and if that's truly our intention, then how do we deal with unwanted and inappropriate and unpleasant behaviors? Let's keep the intention of loving that child and remember the mission of sharing the gospel, living the gospel in front of them, making disciples by guiding them to love God and love people.
Okay. So, let's remember that behavior is communication. Sit with that a minute. Behavior is communication. Sometimes we think behavior is, I have to tell you this one story. We were talking to an Awana conference one time, and I said to the audience, I said, I just want you to know that these children are not laying in bed all night thinking of ways to make your life miserable. And there was a lady in the back who said, "Are you sure?" So, the behavior you see in any child may be telling you a whole lot more than what you see on the surface. Are you willing to take a look at it from another perspective? For example, what could the behavior be telling us? And what can we do about it? Sometimes we encounter children who are reluctant to participate in any activity that we've planned. Anybody? What could be at the root of that? We may assume the child is uncooperative and that we should just force them to participate. But what if that child is experiencing a deeper anxiety? What if they are experiencing separation anxiety because of a traumatic experience?
There are many reasons that you may not know that are causing this child to hang back or to cling to a parent, and our job is not to diagnose the cause, but we can ask God for sensitivity toward the child and pray for wisdom in approaching the child and the parent. If our goal is about loving them, we want to make sure our focus is not on our own agenda and sense of accomplishment. What can we do? Maybe this child just needs a little more information before entering in. Maybe we need to be intentional about creating an environment where the child feels safe.
This is just one example of the behaviors we see encounter in serving children. Let's look at a few more. Here's a list of some behaviors we might see.
Phobias, or refusing to do what is asked,
Running away,
or hitting and biting and pinching, lashing out, throwing things,
covered ears,
or maybe being too close, as we've mentioned,
easily offended,
hyperactive,
argumentative,
a class clown or a jokester,
snarky, sassy, disrespectful when responding to authority.
and not kind to other children or bossy.
Squirrel,
Yeah,
easily distracted. Anybody know that movie?
The up movie? Yeah, okay, and forgetting instructions.
So what could be going on in children to cause that list of behaviors we just talked about and other challenging behaviors? Let's listen to this list.
Past trauma experience,
Anxiety,
hungry and or thirsty.
we're going to engage with these in a little bit, these thoughts. Slower processing,
Executive function differences,
OCD or obsessive compulsive
or
disorder,
fight or flight response from trauma,
panic attack,
allergies,
sensory overwhelm.
sensory processing differences,
That could be either avoiding or seeking
more, yeah.
sensory.
compensating for a learning disability,
Loss of a loved one, and that includes pets. You know how deeply children grieve when they lose their pets.
learning struggles,
Hurt from bullying.
or ADHD or autism.
Again, our job as leaders of children in ministry is not to diagnose anything. Don't fall into that trap. But we do need to be aware of our preconceived notions, our own personal triggers. We all have them, right? There are some children that we can tolerate till the cows come home, no matter what they do. There are some children that get under your skin in 5 seconds or less, right? But we need to be willing to not jump to conclusions and be willing to shift our mindset. Alan Alda has the right idea. Begin challenging your own assumptions. Your assumptions are the windows on the world. Your windows on the world. Scrub them off every once in a while or the light won't come in. Scrub them off every once in a while or the light won't come in. If we see a behavior that is less than desirable, we need to first do what this man is really good at. We need to give the benefit of the doubt. Let's follow Alan Alda's advice and scrub our assumption windows of old preconceived notions and let the light in.
Bottom line is, let's keep our mission in mind. If our purpose is to love God, love people, share the gospel, make disciples. Then our goal is to see how best we can make that happen for each and every child in the spirit of love.
I recently had the privilege of listening to my friend Beth Golick from Key Ministry. That's something, take note of that. KeyMinistry.com is someplace that might be helpful to you. She gave a great practical ideas during a conference breakout session. Here's some action steps that I picked up from Beth and that she inspired me to remember and create from my own past experiences. So some practical things that we can do. Increase our communication to all the children. Tell them what to expect. Children don't like surprises, most of them, unless it's, birthday and a present and all that good stuff, but you know what I'm talking about. Tell them what is new or different. You can do it verbally, by visual chart, and also, by walking them through the area physically ahead of time. So you want to give them as much input as you possibly can in many different channels, right?
Yeah, and for example, we have two grandchildren that just started second grade. One's in Maryland, one's here in Virginia. And in both situations, they were allowed to visit their classroom ahead of time and meet their teachers. And so the first day of class, they were both more confident and a lot less stressed on their first day. Information is good.
Yes, it is. Some of our church activities for children are a little overwhelming for some of the more sensitive children. I think oftentimes we think hype is best for kids, but maybe not. You have to know your kids. Why not adjust the activity for everyone to accommodate everyone? The accommodations made usually don't decrease the impact for the ones who aren't sensitive, and you just might ease the tension for those kids who you may not have even known was sensitive.
For example, decide to adjust the event or activity to be tailored about the needs of all.
No, you're good. You're good. Why not adjust the activity, like Amy said, to accommodate everyone? Why can't we
You can lower the volume.
decrease the hype,
Lower the brightness of light with filters.
Only give one instruction at a time and wait until everyone gets it.
cut back on strobe lights? Did you know that strobe lights can actually trigger seizures? If a child is, hold on one second, if a child is prone to seizures, a strobe light could trigger a seizure. So just keep that in mind. Go ahead.
Keep the visual stimulation to a minimum if
And
possible.
give everyone opportunity to move often.
Rocker chairs, wobble cushions, ways for them to move.
Place personal space designated by tape on the floor or a small rock.
Okay, so I don't know how we're doing with timing. How much time do we have?
We're going to get out by 2:30. It's 2:08.
I'm looking at Dana.
Oh.
Oh, yes. Okay, that means we can talk to each other. So I want to engage with you a little bit on that list we just talked about. And it is in your handout and it is on the screen. So what about these ideas about how we can accommodate people? So do you have somebody in your classroom that when you talk to them, they go like this? Or when they hear the kids' music coming out of whatever speaker, they go like this? Okay, so what kinds of things can we do for that child? Anybody? Yes? Noise canceling headphones. Every classroom or every little group of kids should have an opportunity to have them. So just think about that. That's one thing that we can do. If you don't have a deaf child, I have a deaf child, so only something for deaf children. But if you have a deaf child, or if you don't have a deaf child, you can lower your own volume. That's me talking real loud, but that's sharing the opportunity. Anything else? Okay, let's pick on decrease the hype. I don't know if you've noticed this, but we have a tendency to overuse, this room is perfect, overuse the walls and the floors in our classrooms. And it's too much sometimes, especially for the sensitive children. So if we can just kind of not put as many things on the walls, doesn't mean that you don't ever put anything on the walls, right? But not as many things, not every, I've seen some classrooms in schools where every single aspect of the wall is covered with something. And then the floor has all the rugs with all the stuff on it too, for the younger children. So let's just think about these things. No criticism, we're just thinking about these things. How about a child who tends to be hyperactive or seems irritated when they walk in the room? What could be going on? They're fine in the hallway. They come in the room. What do you think? God bless you, Amy. Too much? The temperature might be too hot? They can feel closed in because there's too much, or maybe there isn't, in your own opinion, because it's not too much, but it is for them. And also, lights. Lights are huge for children who are overly sensitive visually. So I don't know if you've seen some classrooms, like if they have the square or rectangle fluorescent lights, there are actually filters you can put over top of them. Anybody else? You can turn, you know how sometimes you walk into a classroom, I don't know what your church is set up like, but there's 2 lights you can flick up? Just do one. Just put one up, not both of them. These are just things we don't think about if we don't have the problem, if we don't have the struggle. Or we have a struggle, we are irritated, and we don't know what's causing it. It could be something as simple as the lights. Okay, only give one instruction at a time and wait until everyone gets it. I'll just leave that one sit there for a minute. We already talked about strobe lights. Keep the visual stimulation to a minimum. We talked about that. And movement. Okay, I like to say, church is not school. Church is not school. Church is not home. Church is church. So what do we really want? We talked about a lot of this stuff in the why part. What kind of an environment do we want to create in church for these children? And, rocker chairs and wobble cushions, I'm just saying. I mean, sometimes they get abused. You have to train them. The children, that is, not the wobble cushions. So, any other thoughts on that? Okay. We are going to read another list. We're calling it Provide Helps, and we've talked about some of these helps, but there's a couple of extras in here as well.
Yeah, someone mentioned noise reduction headphones. They work. And fidgets we have up here. We mentioned them.
Look at the. Some kids need to chew. Anybody in here have a kid in your class that needs to chew? Okay, give them a chewy tube. And just wash them out, really, infect, the opposite of that.
Disinfect.
Disinfect them. So if you Google chewy tubes, they are a lot of OTs, occupational therapists, and speech therapists use them. It's very helpful because it doesn't hurt your teeth, but it gives that chewing that needs to happen for some of these kids. So Google chewy tubes and you'll find all kinds of them out there. Yeah. Go ahead. You want to talk? Wait, we're right here. Okay, go ahead.
Create a designated safe place in the building to hum and celebrate.
Okay, so 2 things. I don't know if you ever have children that melt down in the classroom. We had a little boy who came from an adoption situation, from foster care into adoption, and he had a trigger, and we didn't always know what the trigger was going to be. And when he had that trigger, he was only 4, but when he had that trigger, he would really lose it. And so he would maybe throw chairs, he would throw toys, he would, maybe punch you out. And it wasn't his fault. The kid had been through it and back again. So what do we do in a classroom setting like that? You have two options. You remove the child or you remove the class. So if the child is not removable because they're having this fit and you need them to calm down, then you just decide on the spur of the moment, hopefully you have helper in your room, hey, we need to just take a walk. Okay, class, we're just going to go. And it's not about the child. It's about, oh, yeah, okay, now it's time to, and we're going to go do this thing. Now, you may have children who are very tuned into what you normally do at that time, and they might say, but, and you just say, it's okay, come on, get them out of the classroom so that they don't get hurt, because we don't want anybody hurt, right? So you've got that opportunity. You either remove the child if you can. Sometimes you can talk the child down enough that you can remove the child, and you make it pleasant. You make it sweet. You make it joyful. You love this child, okay? Because they're going to be triggered more if we get frustrated, if we get upset. So we are the grown-ups. We don't always feel that way, but we are the grown-ups, and we need to figure out what we can do when these children trigger us that calms that. If you need to pull in a different teacher, if you need to talk to Dana and have her pull in somebody else, it's okay. We all have our triggers. We all have our moments. It's okay. Consider, you want to do that one? Consider the children.
Consider the children in their struggles, then create a welcoming and safe environment for all.
It really is.
This is all part of it.
It's personal. So for every church that we talk to, there's a different set of scenarios. There are a lot of similarities, but there are different children, and there are different scenarios. So the whole idea is love and serve the children who are coming to you. And then if you have a particular thing we haven't talked about, reach out to us, because we've probably heard it before, and we can help. Okay.
So, all of this, do you believe that God can give you just what you need to serve the children who struggle?
Because we can feel a little bit overwhelmed by all this.
Yes, if it's left up to us.
Yeah.
But it's all up to God. He has given us everything we need for life and godliness. 2 Peter 1:3.
Through our knowledge.
Yeah, very important. Can't leave that part out. His divine power has given us everything we need for life and godliness through our knowledge of him who called us by his own glory and goodness. Let that sink in. His divine power. 2 Peter 1:3.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and then if you guys have any questions for us, we will be here to do that as a group for a little bit, and then we'll be here for a little while too after if you would like to ask some questions. So what was helpful today? Any one thing that might have been helpful? Anything new? Anything helpful? Anything new? Maybe anything you were reminded of? then, okay, I think we talked enough about that. Do you guys have any questions? Yes.
this group.
So, our little friend Charlotte, she's in middle school. Or she's in high school.
High school now.
She's in freshman in high school. She's in the band. But Charlotte, I didn't know you a story like that. I keep thinking about 50 things at the same time. Did I read that? You do about 50 things at the same time.
Her emotional support
Yes,
animal.
thank you. That was it. That's the word. That's the key word I needed. Okay. So she was, her band was set to be out on the field for a home game. And the home game got delayed until I think it got canceled. And she was mad because the kids wanted to get out there and there were so many things that they've been practicing for it since the beginning of summer and, all this stuff. She was really mad. She comes from a family of she herself has not been diagnosed with autism. Her dad has it, and 3 siblings have it. The family is 6. So she said, Mom had to bring me my puppy, whatever it's called, some exotic name, I don't remember. But that is her emotional support in situations like that. Her mom is really nice. So, it's okay. Sometimes we just need help. And we need, I think, we as a church, we're God's people. So if they're not going to have a sense of belonging with us, where are they going? Where are they going? They're going to go to the world and what's to offer them what we have to offer. We need it to offer. I feel in this room that you all really know that in your heart. I'm so blessed.
Well, Dinah is wonderful. Dinah does
I can tell.
anything that she can to help us, and Amy too, on this side. Yeah, she works. Raina works extremely hard.
She said that in that Zoom call, she needs to come in and we're disconnected. We can kind of let her vibe in.
She really works out of us, yes.
That's very cool. So, listen to Dana, because she knows. She's got one from 8
1 minute
Okay.
till 2:30.
Okay, so, all right, so we are officially finished. We do want to invite you to visit our table. You can kind of take a look at Amy's book. It's also available on Amazon. And she has a website. What's your website where your book is? Heart Recharge? The name of the book. Okay. So this is what we did with our COVID. What'd y'all do with your COVID? So feel free to peruse the table. There's some fidgets up here. You can get some ideas and examples. We just ordered them off of Amazon. We got this great big box of fun. So you can see what kind of fun we got in our box. It's laying all over the stage here. So feel free. Thank you so much for letting us come and share our hearts with you. We have great resources. We have not just us, but we are part of an organization called keyministry.org, and they just are phenomenal in the movement of helping children with special needs and disabilities be acclimated in the church. And so we get a lot of our stuff from them. We get a lot of support from them, and we love them, and they love us, and so it's not just us. And we would love to help. Okay? All right, thanks for coming.